Right, so Chelsea in the Premier League. We've beaten them once already. It was, I think it's 2-1. That was at Old Trafford earlier in the season. And now it's time for the reverse fixture. And to be honest, it comes off the back of a real terrible performance at Brentford. Um, to be fair, both Manchester clubs that weekend put in really terrible performances. So I mean, maybe we're the worst of a bad bunch, we could say. But nonetheless, there's plenty of big red flags and blaring warning signals going into this game that are cause for concern, we could say. And we're going to start off, I think, addressing this injury crisis. And this has got a lot of people on edge. A lot of people on edge, a lot of people on strings, a lot of people that think that it is solely can only be the fault of one person, and that is the manager. So I extend this question to everybody else. Is the manager to blame for injuries widespread throughout the squad? Is the manager at fault for reoccurring injuries? For me, I think there's certain things that a manager can do that can gradually lead a player to potentially picking up an injury, just dependent on the scenario. But I feel like there's got to be a huge amount of specifics that have to play out in order for a player to get injured as a result of managerial instructions. I mean, a manager wouldn't tell a player, "I want you to go and dive headfirst into somebody who's trying to kick the ball out of a box in the act of a clearance." You wouldn't. You tell a player, "Do you know what I think would be really tactically astute is if you ran face first into the post, full speed, for no reason at all. We might be defending a corner, but I want you to just go run full speed down the other end and straight into the post." I mean, unless a manager's instructions is that, I can't imagine there's really any ways that a manager can instruct a player to play a certain way that ends up getting them injured. I don't really think that with clubs with this many, you know, health experts or fitness gurus around the club would really sort of allow for that sort of thing to happen. So for me, I think it's very far fetched. Very far fetched to sit here and say that the manager is to blame for all of these injuries. I mean, I think we've had more injuries than we've played games this season, which is it's unfathomable, really unfathomable. Usually, a normal case, maybe you get an injury list tally or whatever, that probably strings up to about 20 to 30 by the end of the season. We've still got another month and a half worth of football to go, and we're already over 50. And this is 50 unique injuries, which is crazy to think about. But that's the tale. That's that's the tale of what our season's been, and with inconsistencies, with performances, with inconsistencies, with starting 11s, inconsistencies. So perhaps we could say managerial selections as far as how he manages his games and the substitutions he makes. Some work better than others, and then, vice versa. You get the good games, you get the bad games. Everything about this season for Manchester United has literally been just both black and white. There's been no in between, there's been no consistency, no stability. It's just been so up and down. It's like riding, maybe we say that, a 9 month long roller coaster. Now, Maybe if there was a showman trying to sell the Premier League to you, they'll tell you, oh, the Premier League season is a roller coaster ride. Well, that's for the sake of something positive, right? But I mean a roller coaster for the negative sake of things. That you get the highs and the lows of the season, but it's over the top. Everyone else's roller coaster does that. Our roller coaster does this. Just goes everywhere. Just doesn't know where to stop. Doesn't know where to stop. It just keeps going around and around and around. Eventually, we're hoping, we don't know where it's going to win because it's so like so lefty righties, upsies, downsies. We don't actually see where the end is or how this roller coaster ends. Does it just level itself out and just come to a steady stop, or does it go full speed, full send into the shadow realm, face first into the ground at a million miles an hour, eventually rendering us completely obsolete? I don't know, to be quite frankly honest, because we're still got about 9 games. This game against Chelsea included tomorrow. 8:15 as well. Late kickoff. Late kickoff. But even even with 9 games to go, still so much can happen in that time, and it's just so difficult nowadays to really predict what is going to happen with Manchester United. Um, and for me, it's harder to really back it, if you know what I mean. It's harder to back it and say, yeah, I believe that. Yeah, I believe that this is going to get better. I believe this is what's going to happen 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line, 9 months down the line, and just having a clearer perspective on things. Manchester United cannot give that right now. It cannot give that, and it's just it feels just really uncertain with what is going to happen with Manchester United, and it's a shame. It is a big shame because it's like when I've said once or twice now with, for instance, the Brentford result. Ineos have essentially got to start making decisions here and start taking course of actions that ultimately stabilize the ship and steer the course correction to get us facing in the right direction, to give us a direction. And right now, despite them being here, we haven't really started to get direction. So as of right now, I know it's very early days, but to be quite frankly honest, with the takeover stuff, with Surgeon Ratcliffe and Ineos, it's all been good talk so far. But once things start to happen, like actually happen, that's when I think we can start talking about club direction. Until then, it's all still very unpredictable. Very, very unpredictable. It's like the transfer window in the summer. A lot of people talk, yeah, who's going to go sign this player, go sign that player. These players are going to be sold. It's all going to, it's all going to be great and fantastic. There's still no structural integrity. Why would a club be making big decisions without the club structural integrity secured? And those questions are still yet to be answered. And we still move on with the speculation. And it's fine to speculate. Of course, we can. We can talk about the what ifs, the maybes, and to really sort of gauge a fan perspective of what the outlook for Manchester United is based off of what kind of road we opt to go down. So there's things that we can sort of lighten the mood up a little bit with. Whether the mood is going to be lightened up with Chelsea tomorrow, I would like to believe that it's not so much. Supposedly here, now we've had our injury crisis prolonged. Lisandro Martinez is now out for another month from a calf injury, supposedly, that he's picked up in training. Um, and I think that, again, is a unique injury. And hey, maybe my theory about the Arsenal doctor deliberately making the fitness department for United that bad, and I think that's where the blame has to lie primarily. The fitness department is failing. It's not doing its job. You look at Chelsea, you see the injuries they've got. The fitness departments are failing at both of our clubs, and change has to be made ASAP. Because these are some injuries that, if we keep the medical department the same across the summer, I'll be surprised. I'll be really, really surprised, because the injury crisis, I think, will only get worse. Because the more injuries somebody racks up, the more fragile the body gets. Because you're basically literally living off of just permanently being in the process of getting fixed. You're permanently fixing. You're not fixed, you're fixing. You're just trying to mend yourself whilst, being fit enough to play. Then you get injured with another problem, and then one problem leads to the next, and then the next, and the next, and the next, and it just keeps going around and around and around. He doesn't stop, he doesn't slow down. So I'm looking at this and thinking the medical department has severely failed this season, and various clubs will get that, where the fitness department doesn't do what it's meant to do, and it now costs us dearly with, once again, team selection. Who do you start? Who do you start with? For me, just quickly, as far as people go with blaming the manager for this, for me, as I've said already, I think there's too many specifics that have to happen for the manager to directly be blamed or linked to injuries being the case. And the thing is that it's a bit like swings and roundabouts, I suppose, or like you're on a big swing and you're swaying between two worlds, right? Between your two ideals, right? You get one side of it, whereas you play slow, sluggish football. It favours the fitness of the players, but you play crap and the results dwindle. Everyone gets on the case of the manager. Manager thinks, well, we'll try and coach these players to be able to have higher work rate, push themselves, try a little bit harder. Players start to incur injuries. They're pushing themselves. Yeah, okay, cool. But the fitness departments, what are they doing in their process for injury prevention? Because that's usually a common feat with clubs and their fitness departments, their medical departments, is that there's usually a bit of sports science involved that's there to keep players from getting injured. And intensity, right, can cause more likelihoods to injuries. It can happen. It happened under Klopp. Klopp turned from Brendan Rodgers football to heavy metal, run in, fight and boom, and players were getting injured. Players were getting injured. But they weren't getting injured to this extent. They weren't getting injured to this extent. And it's crazy. It's really, really crazy. I think the medical department is a big, big problem. And that with an improved medical department, I look at this injury crisis practically sliced in half. I still think that there are injury problems that occur. I do. I think that the high work rate, the high press, you're running faster, harder, for longer. But look at everybody else. Look at everybody else that outruns us, outworks us, outfights us. And to me, it's like the problems that we are seeing is not because people are just tired. They're too tired, they can't run. We see people opting to not do the absolute fundamental basics. And it's not something that they come out and say, oh, yeah, we're just really, really, really tired. We can't run. We can't run as hard as the manager wants us to. We don't hear that sort of talk. We don't really hear that sort of talk. It doesn't really, it doesn't really paint this picture that the big problem at Manchester United is that the players are being overworked. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure that the fans went from hating this slow, sluggish football and thinking the manager was a waste man for doing it. That manager gets sacked, you bring another manager in that tries to take those players and get them to work harder. Everyone's like, yes, those players have got to work harder. 100% we're with you on this one, Mr. Manager. Players start complaining. Players start downing tools. Players start being petulant. The fans go, oh, but my favourite baller's now crying. Mr. Manager, you're not the one. You're a fraud. Get out. Like, the thing is you can't win with these players. You can't win as a fan with these players. And, I think that we're going to see this situation get worse, and maybe it does get worse with Chelsea. Supposedly, Ineos has spoken to the players. Because after their Brentford result, apparently it didn't go down too well with Ineos. Ineos weren't happy. Ineos looked at the situation and said, no, that's disgraceful. How dare you? You've all got attitude problems. If you're serious about playing for this club, it's time you fix up. And it's like, well, hey, pretty sure the fan base has been saying that for years. It hasn't really changed anything, and I don't think personally, I don't think that there is any real semblance that those players are going to pull their weight, because at the moment for them it's probably just talk. Big bosses aren't happy with you. Oh, who cares? I'm on 300k a week. I don't have to do much. I really don't have to do much, because I mean, really, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? They haven't got the money to sack me, to make an example out of me. So what are they going to do? And it's, there are attitudes there where player power is very much prevalent, and that's where my focus is Ineos. Realistically, what are you going to do that's going to go against player power and ultimately instill winning culture back to Manchester United? And I don't think there is really any sort of, there's not really much hope at the moment with that. I'm hoping a summer transfer window can give us better clarity and change some of that, but I don't see how that's going to work, to be honest. But maybe it's the media popping out the pep talk from Ineos that you see some real heroics from the Manchester United players, and that they put in like 10 out of 10 performances or something wacky or crazy like that, and that, oh, we all forget about it. We all forget about everything. It was, they're fantastic players. They're pulling their weight. Yes, they'll, give us a summer transfer window. Keep these players around. They've got great potential. No, no, not for me. Not for me. Not for me. Now, I don't know if that Ineos talk is going to do anything. For me, I personally don't think it is. I think it's just media spin. And Chelsea, if there's a time that they should play us, it's now. It it's absolutely now. In injury crisis coming about again. no real knowledge as to who's going to um, start for us. No one really knows, really, to be honest. No one really knows, but you know, can never say never. Can never really say never. Now, I suppose the next question really goes to what is the team? Who starts for Manchester United against Chelsea tomorrow night? Now, I think the biggest talking point is the centre backs, that defence. You know, that's where I think the injury crisis has been the worst. Um, and to be honest, yeah, I think that's probably just the biggest dilemma. Selection dilemma sits roughly about the centre backs position. I have an idea in mind as to who will probably most likely start. I think as far as who's most fit and available. I mean, we can speculate. As far as goalkeeper goes, the Andre and Arnold starting a goal. That's just typical. That's always going to be the case. Left back, I think, of course, with Diogo Dalot and Wan-Bissaka, they're both fully fit at the moment. So I think again, Dalot starts left back, Wan-Bissaka starts right back. The centre backs is where I think we can go various different directions with this. We can either go the direction of full fitness or go the direction of best quality available at the time. And I think that if we go with fitness, the two centre backs will probably feature as Harry Maguire and then Willie Campbell, another youth prospect centre back, played once or twice this season. And yeah, I think Ten Hag probably will give him another run out in the team. Would be interesting to see. He would have a massive task ahead of him. You'll have his work cut out for him 100%. Not the most ideal game, really, as a youth player to come into. But if you do make a statement, then you might be making the statement to say, well, I am here to stay. I can make myself well and accounted for. Consider me for your team selections. And I think that would be a nice, pleasant surprise if we do get Campbell starting and he puts in a solid performance. So I think it's one that we should, I suppose, eagerly anticipate. It won't be eagerly anticipated if it ends, in hindsight, if it ends up being that, we just get ran through and we get absolutely destroyed. Then maybe we look back on it and say, well, never starting Willie Campbell ever again. Probably, most likely. But yeah, I mean, that in terms of fitness, but I mean, there's there's very we're not too sure if I think at the moment there's meant to be I don't know if he has actually finished his his press conference, Ten Hag, because I'm sure he will probably give us more certification as to who's available to make it into the matchday squad. Supposedly, Raphael Varane is a question mark. As he went off with an injury at half-time against Brentford. Um, I think Johnny Evans is, I think, in a similar state of fitness. Maybe he's fit and available, maybe he's not. We'll have to see what the official travelling squad comes out with, which would be absolutely, absolutely crazy. But wow, I mean, it'd be absolutely crazy if we start with the centre back partnership with Harry Maguire and Johnny Evans. I mean, Christ Almighty! You never thought you'd come a day where you would, as a Manchester United supporter, you'd say that centre back partnership of Harry Maguire and Johnny Evans. Just madness, absolute madness. What's happened to our once great club, man? But if if there is better availability, I think that's probably going to be Varane to start with Maguire, or Johnny Evans to start with Maguire. All I know is that Maguire's the most fit senior centre back at the moment at the club, and you know, Ten Hag's cards are in short supply. There's not an awful lot he can do, even with the prospect of starting younger players. Still not great. But anyway, so it's for the rest of the team. I'm pretty sure pretty sure Casemiro is back as well, so I'm sure he will probably start. Kobbie Mainoo in the team, most likely. He's doing well for himself. Showing good ability, and it's just good maturity as well. Because I mean, he's he's almost in terms of his role in a team. It feels like at times he's just sort of left out to dry. He's hung out to dry with how isolated Kobbie Mainoo can be left on the pitch at times, and it's a bit frustrating to see. But at the same time, it's like, well, that's just how the balance of our team is at the moment, and maybe it improves with better recruitment over the summer. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But yeah, for me, Kobbie Mainoo in that midfield with Casemiro, probably the most likeliest choice to go with there. Um, and then ahead of them, shouldn't really be the case, but Bruno Fernandes. I think with Bruno, it's a case that it's like we all know that he should be dropped. We all know he should be dropped. I think everybody, their grandmother, their dog, maybe their cat knows that Bruno Fernandes should be dropped. Maybe Mason Mount should start. Not seriously. I mean, maybe Mason Mount should start. I mean, he came on as a sub against Brentford and actually showed a bit of a clinical edge. Scored a goal. It might be an idea. Why not experiment with it? But lo and behold, it's Bruno the captain. So Bruno's probably going to end up starting the game again. The front three ahead of him, probably most likely going to be Rashford again, Garnacho on the right, and then Højlund up top. So very distinctive similarities I'd find between the team that started against Brentford and the team that starts against Chelsea tomorrow night. And I would like to believe that that we may get a surprise or two, because I think it comes a point where you look at the Brentford game, the Brentford result, and you say, well, when is it the time to put the foot down? If you're the manager and you get full backing and support, and the board, they tell you, no matter what those players will think or tell us, we will support you. We want to see where you will take your project. Whoever it is you don't want, we'll get rid of. Whoever it is you want, we'll keep or get for you. I would like to see that if there has been that sort of discussion, or whether there would be that sort of discussion between the board and the manager to say, well, don't fear the players getting you sacked. Make the massive calls that you need to make, right, to do what's best for you. Because if hypothetically, if that conversation's happened, and we still see guys like Bruno and Rashford starting week in, week out, it shows for bad reading. It would show for bad reading on the manager, because he still believes, well, what can I do with that? You get the opportunity for a player that's not playing for you. You could drop him, but opts not to do it. I mean, the whole fan base can see, why can't the manager, right? I've been asked that question various times. If the fans can see that the certain players in that team are not good enough, why can't the manager? He's paid to see these things, you know, which is reasonable. It's a reasonable question to have. Now, whether we see implications of that sort of discussion happen tomorrow, I'm not sure. But I will hold out hope that there is evidence per se to say that we've seen a conversation occur, that Manchester United players need to start caring, and start caring fast. Otherwise, they're in big, big trouble. But to be honest, I can't really, off of any factual evidence, base this or paint this to be a Man United win. I think this is a 2-1 win to Chelsea. For me, 2-1 to Chelsea. My starting lineup, as I've just briefly gone through there: Onana in goal. I'm just going to go based off of fitness, availability. Dalot left back, Maguire, Kambwala at centre back, Wan-Bissaka right back, Casemiro minor midfield, Bruno in front of them, Rashford on the left, Garnacho on the right, and Højlund up top. It's going to be a long evening tomorrow. Very, very long evening. But anyways, guys, I'm getting close. This nostril, this nose, this growth on the front of my face here is starting to clear up a little bit. So we're getting there. We're getting there. So I'm hopeful that I get to change Cold Bum Fluff 22 into Hot Ones 44 again. Maybe for the match reaction we'll see a return of Hot Fuzz 44 with some hot takes on perhaps a hot shower of shite that occurs at after 8, after 10. Should be about after 10 o'clock tomorrow night, with the match reaction as well. But I am also going to be live later on tonight. It's 8:30. It's episode 12, guys. Episode 12 of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Supposedly, I've been popped in the good again, which is, a bit baffling. No, just a little bit baffling. But I don't know. I'm just basing it off the thumbnail that I've seen. I don't know if that thumbnail might have been updated. Let's have a look. See if I can find it real quick. See if it is still me in the good. Yeah. I am in the good, people, which is it's great. It's great. I'm in the good for the second week running. Is it the second week running? No, it's actually the third. This will be the third week running. Let's go. We're taking top position. I might start celebrating it like Arsenal being top of the league for 97% of the season and ultimately not win anything. Maybe I should view it like that. But who knows? But 8:30 p.m. tonight, we'll be back again with The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly show, which I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a nice, entertaining discussion. A bit of a slander fest. I'm sure I'm going to have quite a few sins to answer for. Um, but at that time, I believe that Arsenal are also playing Luton. They kick off an hour beforehand um, at 7:30. So it's going to be interesting, guys. Whilst we're live, maybe we'll see the many faces of Anthony Herbert trying to keep uh, potential rage at bay. Maybe rage, maybe adulation, maybe joy. We'll have to see. But anyways, guys, make sure to smash the like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And make sure to tune back in to here or on Early Doors Football TV for The Good, the Bad and the Ugly Show, episode 12. We'll see you later on tonight, people. And then after that will be the post-match reaction on the Thursday night, I'm sure. And maybe I'll pop onto a couple of the Chelsea lots channels, you know, possibly. I'll have a quick turnaround as well for the Liverpool match preview, which might involve a few Liverpool supporters as well, which will be it'll be interesting conversations to have. I'm sure that if dependent on how the result goes tomorrow night, if it's good, maybe I can hold my own. If it's bad, maybe the floodgates might have to open. I don't know. I'm hoping that it's not going to be the case. But anyways, guys, take care for the rest of today. We'll see you hopefully again tonight later on. Probably about 4 hours actually. It's about 4:30 now, so yeah, about 4 hours. We'll be back again with the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we hope to see you there. Yeah, that's it for me for now. Take care, goodbye, and yeah, see you tonight.